Welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave. Welcome to this very secretive Twitch stream right now. We're live on Twitch, so everyone's in the house. It's actually pretty fun right now, just hanging out before the before the opening ceremonies. But I do want to get on to some Bitcoin action because with the way that price action is behaving right now, there are a few things that are going to be indicated, likely coming up a little bit later this week with the advent of today's daily little close. So this is going to have implications for later on in the week, not necessarily like more immediately, which depending upon like how big of a move you're really looking for, that's always going to change. But you get what I'm saying, right? So with all of that said, I don't want to waste too much more time because I have a feeling that this video might be a little bit on the longer edge, which I probably shouldn't say. Maybe it ends up being shorter. Maybe it's like some sort of inverted correlation indicator that I'm going on right now. But you know what? Without further ado, let's get into the live scene right here, right now. But first things first, as always, who would I be if I didn't wish you well first? I want to wish you the best, also the happiest of the happiest. As always, man, wish people well, and perhaps the world might even become a better place. There's your positive message for the day. All right, enough Tony Robbins. Let's get into the fucking live scene. Let's talk about this goddamn dirty matching it money business. And there she is, Bitcoin on the daily. And the daily kind of tells the whole story right here. We got a, what was it, like $1,000, $800 to $1,000 pump yesterday night, which created this massive girthy, what was once a massive, powerful girthy green dildo, now just a very, very flaccid and uninspiring dildo as it stands right now, with about an hour and 19 minutes left until the daily dildo close. I would say that it's starting to be a little bit more appropriate to really start to wrap this one up. So I would say, just as a general piece, anytime that you see this much of a dildo retraced, pretty much in the same, quite literally on this one the same day, that is never a good sign. I mean, it's quite literally just wiping out all the stops. You'd imagine that a lot of people got short right here at about 10.4 on this little local high, and then what happens yesterday? We just run their stops the whole way through. Classic Bitcoin, classic fucking Bitcoin, but that's why we love it. Anyways, Jesus Christ, man. Jesus. Anyways, right on over here. So looking at this price action, if Bitcoin does close anywhere basically below the 10 simple moving average, I would say that pressure is on to the downside here. Things realistically are, I'm never a fan when I see something like this. The last big example that I have to kind of point out, and what actually does kind of remind me of this, was this guy here, all the way from October, I believe, of last year. Yeah, 15th of October. You probably remember this one, or at least I certainly do. And Bitcoin pumped up within the span of like literally like maybe an hour, about some crazy amount. I think it was about $1,000. I think it was like 1,500 on Finex, and this was done like all within 5 to 10 minutes. And then what happens after that? We come all the way back down. We retrace most of it within that same venue, and then Bitcoin chops around for a little bit longer, around the same area, but eventually does drop off, kind of in a similar consolidation, right? So while I'm very much uninspired about this, about this dildo and the way that's currently situated, which, to be fair, it has not closed and confirmed just yet. But if we close anything like this, I would say that that's pretty anemic and not necessarily the best signal. I would still not be getting too damn bearish until we actually fully and formally break this area right here at about 98.50. Yes, Bitcoin, looks sick. It doesn't look all that good right here. But how many times have we come down into this muddy territory and got stuck there? It's the same thing back in 2018 when a lot of people were trying to short along the way, which I was looking to do myself. But the key in this is that actually shorting the real breakdown. Well, how many times do we test that area out and just shake people out along the way before actually playing the move out? Plenty of times. I mean, this quite literally took 3 to 4 months in this region. Very fucking nasty. So going into this current trajectory right here, it's actually quite similar. Bitcoin spent about the last 2.5 months tightening up this range between 9,000 and about 13,000. I mean, shit. I mean, you could even maybe say that's like 12,500. It's like cough up some ground beef right now. There it is. And we are going to see resolution on this formation relatively soon. Of course, if we go over here to our Finex chart, you'll notice that Bitcoin has been kind of tightening up this symmetrical triangle, and we do have an apex on this on the middle of October, early October, essentially, which would suggest that we probably break it somewhere right on over here. So even though this dildo does look sick and it doesn't look that good with how it's situated right now, I would say that it's actually still a little bit unlikely for this full formation to break as of this moment in time. I need to see a daily total closing below the Cyan 89 exponential moving average right here, which is about 98.50 and rising. Actually, it's almost closer to 9,900 right now, but we could do this a few different ways. I could accept that as resolution to the downside. Also, if we saw this current weekly dildo, take out last week's low, which is 97.87 on, I believe this is Finex right here. It's going to be like a little bit lower on Stamp. Yeah, it's 97.50. 87.59 on stamp. So check your exchange for that. But if you take out the low of it, then then that would likely be good enough for me. And then if you want the most kind of like the last line of defense, then I'd be looking at this level down here, right around the 94 to 9500ish region in this last blue box territory, which was essentially our lows from middle of July and then late July right here. So that's what I'd be keeping my eyes on. Those three venues would be what I'd be looking for to declare a resolution of the downside. And if we do resolve to the downside, then I would be looking at a measure move all the way down. Technically speaking, this would actually put us down all the way at around like 72 to 7300, which is confluent with our let's actually go on to a daily, which would be confluent with the daily 200 simple moving average, this white moving average right here, and then the blue 377 exponential moving average, all in the same region. And also, I believe if I were to extend, probably if I'm to extend this Fibonacci retracement right here, it's probably like the 618. I'd imagine. Yeah, you can see that it's around the 618 right there. There we go. Yeah, 618 actually meeting up with it exactly. So naturally, these things are going to line up with each other, of course. But until we actually get resolution, I want to be very clear in stating this, and I want to be on the record in stating this as well, that, you know, until you actually get resolution on this, looking for the downside off this is not the right thing to be doing as a trader. The right thing to be doing as a trader is waiting for the confirmations on this formation. And as long as we're kind of holding within the symmetrical triangle, it is just as likely that we come back down to this lower support region right here, put in some more wicks, do the fucking Bitcoin dance, I guess, if you want to call it that. I call it Bitcoin getting stuck in this muddy shit, and then just kind of pulling itself through as Bitcoin likes to do. More importantly, if we do break out the top side of this baby, which I would call a resolution to the upside with any sort of a daily diddle close above about 12.2, we'll call it, then I'd be targeting a move towards $15,000 up here and likely beyond at that time. I'd probably be looking for continuation upwards and onwards after a pullback from that region and consolidation on a medium time frame perspective. But these are all the greater time frames right here. Is this actionable right now? No, fuck no. It's not actionable at all right now. So let's get into stuff that actually matters. So for today, because the daily diddle will be closing relatively soon, if Bitcoin could have closed today's daily above the 21, which is about 10,550, I would have said that I'd be bullish for a move likely back up to 11,000 and probably even beyond there, like 11.5. But it doesn't look like that's what's going to be happening. In fact, we're closing below all these moving averages right here: the red 10 simple, the green 50, and the yellow 21, and they all kind of have a flat or slightly negative slope, which is not a good sign either. Not only that, but bringing up our momentum also, is we do see daily Stokes crossing the downside right here, very fucking nasty as well. Again, this is still with an hour left to go in the day, or sorry, a little bit more than an hour left to go in the day. Maybe some crazy shit happens once again, but as of right now, with 1 hour to go, not looking all that hot. Daily RSI also losing its luster a little bit as well. What I wanted to see on this baby was closing above the exponential on it, and that's not what we have once again. So pressure is on right here. If Bitcoin does close in this region, it doesn't look all that good. I also want to bring up this as well. On the lower time frames, right here, we do see, if we chart this out, again, this is very, very low time frame bullshit. We were looking at this 10,150-ish level from the morning stream, right? This level did get hit, so the target was met, and then we bounced up upon it. So again, until this, so we do actually have very direct information that this is getting played off of. So if you want to be a little bit more aggressive on the lower time frames, I do believe that you could say, or that you could look at this as as an action. I do believe that if we lose this region right here at about 10,150, then I would be looking for, at the very least, another test back down to this blue box territory at about 97.50 to 98.50, and then coming back to that region again. While it doesn't necessarily imply that we resolve it to the downside, still have to do a little bit more work for that. But it's the danger zone, so to speak, and I really don't know how many more times Bitcoin can test that region without breaking it. It's tapped to all fucking hell right here. I mean, the saying goes that the more that you test resistance, the weaker it does get. And same thing for support. What's up, Kazokian? Just showing some love, Krown. My fucking man. How you doing, my friend? God damn, man. I fucking love Twitch, fam. It's just a positive place, just a good place to be. So yeah, that's why we'll be looking at, at on all that. And that's why today's close is very important, because it sets the stage for the next few days in the week. And, if we do close below this region, pressure's on once again, probably do come back down and test this region just by the nature of it. But technically, we'd want to see that lower level taken out first and foremost, and then it would be actionable. And of course, like I said, if we do come back down to this blue box territory right here, that's a danger zone, baby. If we actually break that on a daily, there goes your 89 on the, there goes your 89 on the daily. And, that's probably going to be good enough for me. Now, a lot of people have been asking though, Krown, are you going to take shorts off this and do anything like that? Actually, no. If I do want to play it, I'll sell some options against, which I've already kind of put on a little bit of a position above 10.5. Very easy to cover. That's why I like it, which I probably shouldn't even talk about because people will hear that and they'll only hear that part, and then they won't hear about the easy to cover part, which it is easy to cover. We have this preliminary resistance right here at about 10.450. If we take out that to the upside, covered, and then you still make money. That's the beauty of options. You can be wrong and still make money. Just have to do it right. So again, if you are hearing those words, hopefully you do hear both parts of that statement, because otherwise it can be a career any move. You have unlimited risk with selling options. As I reach for my water and take another sip of this baby, just one more time. There we go, man. Alrighty. I see Bad Andy over there. He says, yeah, that floor is getting weak. Yeah, man, I wouldn't trust it too many more times. The last few times I had no problem buying this area. I do have a problem with buying it the next time, to be fair, man. I really don't like it. It's making you wait. Okay, cool. So I also wanted to mention this let's also talk about this on lower time frames. If Bitcoin can take out 10,450 to the upside, technically is that the actionable area? You do see a few wicks accumulated in that region, but I feel a little bit more comfortable with saying that it's not actually that region. It's more like a boxy territory. We have another blue box order block coming in right here, probably from like middle of July, I'd imagine. Yeah, somewhere in this region right here. Yeah, there we go. So as long as Bitcoin's below this area right here, which is essentially confluent with the white 200 simple moving average and also the purple 200 exponential moving average, they're pretty much one and the same right here, which as long as we're death cross, this is telling us that as long as we live below there, we are playing out the death cross. It takes precedence. It is important. So as long as Bitcoin's below there, pressure's onto the downside. And if Bitcoin can get back above here, then yes, I would be looking for another move back up, likely to test around 10.8 region and likely beyond after that. If that were to happen, that would start to look a lot better. If Bitcoin can get back above this hump right here at about 10,450, 10,500, where the 200 simple is, or sorry, I've been calling it 10,550. So it's really like a range between 10,450 and 10,550. I'd feel more confident with the more conservative estimate of this at 10,550 because it's a little bit above the daily 21 and also the weekly 10 simple, both very important right now. If we get back above there, then yes, I'd be looking at moves towards 11,000 once again, and then 11,500 in this territory right here. But for right now, pressure is a little bit more onto the downside. All oscillators on the lower time frames, I believe, are situated down. No, they are not. Sorry, I take that back. 4 hour is already making me eat my words, but it is looking weak here. But no signal given as of just now, and it technically is to the upside. 3 hour is down and kind of a rejection of the neutral zone. Same thing with the 2 hour, and hourly is actually up right now, but not so strong. So again, it's going to take a little bit of waiting here. But as long as we're within this region right here, I would say this is not the time to be taking position. I would only take a position. I wouldn't even take a position if we break this to the downside. I'd probably just sell some calls against it, like out of the money calls, just so I don't incur too much. Just so I give myself some time to react. And then if we get back above this region right here, I'd be much more comfortable with that. I'd really like to play the long side of this, just because I still do go with the former trend, even though Bitcoin's kind of been in limbo for the last 2.5 months. We still haven't actually confirmed a downturn. We don't have lower highs and lower lows. We have lower highs, but we do have higher lows as well. So we don't necessarily have a confirmation of change of trend just yet. And actually on the hourly right here, it does look like we did put in a nice pair of little wikis right here on this horizontal support. So probably going to go back up and test this region first before anything else, I'd imagine. But again, don't be fooled by it until we can actually get and maintain above this region. Preferably on a daily closing basis. I would, I'd be overall apprehensive as Bitcoin going sideways. Doesn't really offer up any sort of opportunity for like real spot trading, anyways. That's the time to be trading options and benefit from the lack of movement, really. Anyways, okay, cool. So we spoke about the 1 through 4 hour. Let's go to the 12 hour. 12 hour is a little bit interesting right here. Did catch wind of the red 10 simple. Looks like we're going to lose the 21 if we close anywhere below 10,350. But even that's not like a huge area. What's more important to me is that the 12-hour Stokes are technically up right now, but you can see that they're quite weak. And I do believe that if we close below here, like 10,300, then that's likely going to fade back to the downside and going to look pretty damn bad. But again, it's not in stone just yet. And we still have another hour and 6 minutes to go. You're probably going to have to review this, review this thing after the video videos set out, because that's where that's where we're actually going to figure out, where these things actually do end up. And from there we can probably draw a little bit more intense conclusions. But looking at this right here, I think that it is really, really interesting. Someone else pointed this out, but I wanted to follow up on this. And the pump that we had yesterday was very, very similar to a pump that we had actually literally just 1 month ago. In fact, if you just go literally 1 month ago on the 26th of July at 1900, this is situated for Helsinki time. My computer is still on Eastern European time, but this happened. This pump right here happened on the 26th of July, literally 1 month ago at 1900. Well, and we pump up what, like $800 to the upside. Well, that sounds exactly like what we did yesterday, right? 1 month later at the exact same time, exact same place, we pump up to the same areas too. Look at the daily, right? We pumped up to the daily 21, rejects off the 21. This is it right here. We pump up to the 21. It just tested 21, but same same result down. So I would say that I'm usually not a fan of those sorts of things unless it matches up with matches up with indicators. I probably discount them, and this one actually doesn't match up with indicators all that well. But I did think that it's fun enough to talk about. Anyways, I want to talk about some more bullish things because moon boys are fun, and that's what gets views, baby. No, just kidding. Well, actually, that is true. To be fair, that is true. Like, my videos really started to pick up once I started like doing bullish titles. Even if I would talk about bearish things, even if I would talk about bearish things but have a bullish title, it's like an infinitely amount of more views. So looking at this right here on the weekly, let's talk about this for a second. And again, shout out to I forget who pointed this out in the Discord, but shout out to you. I don't use the MACD myself, but it is worth mentioning that the MACD on the weekly has actually been a pretty damn good indicator. The bearish crosses on the MACD on the weekly have actually been pretty damn good indications of where to be a buyer. So everyone's talking about the bearish cross in the MACD right now, right, on the weekly, and that's going to send us to all hell, right? Well, let's see how it did in the past. I mean, going on over to this area right here, going back to the last prior macro uptrend, and sorry, this is context specific. We are looking at we're looking at an uptrend here. We're looking at an uptrend here, so they're comparable. Now let's go down and zoom in on this and see what we can find. And let's go into the MACD, and we'll see that the MACD crossed to the bearish cross, baby, right here on the 25th of January, right? Well, where was that on price action? Price action was literally bottoming out at the 21 exponential moving average, literally on that tick. That was the low. That was the fucking low, man. And Bitcoin essentially doubles in the next few months after that. Then we have this next example right here, right? On the week of the 1st of August. Bearish MACD cross. We're going to fucking hell, baby. But Bitcoin comes down. It actually gets a wick very, very low to the 50 exponential moving average, but it comes down to the 21, tests it, and that's your low. It doesn't go low. Well, it actually does go a little bit lower, but you can see that was actually a phenomenal buy if you actually just blindly bottom that. Do we have any examples other than that? After that, I mean, the mark's just straight up, so it's not real. Well, I guess we have one here on the 20th of March. Let's see what that correlates with. Holy shit! It's another low. It's another major low right here, actually. In fact, literally directly right on the low. And after that, we just go straight to 20,000. So not really too much of an example after that, but fair enough. So yeah. The bulls do have a few things in there, in their court still. I mean, the bull, technically speaking, as a trader, should be going still like leaning a little bit more towards the upside. As long as we're creating these higher lows, it's, the former trend was the upside. So you're still trading with the trend, right? It's just things really taking their time here. We could also look at it like this. We could go over to the 2-day and the 3-day. The 2-day, which will be closing tonight, looks like we're not going to regain the 21, which guess where that one is? Right around that 10.5 region. Everything's in the 10.5 region, by the way. 10.5, a major pivot on the market going onwards and now forwards from here. 10.5 needs to be regained by the bulls. Balls in the bears court for right now. And as it, and as it is, if we close like this, which we will close this one, we do close this one in 1 hour. 1 hour and 1 minute now. This would not bode too well either. I mean, it just looks like a mass rejection of the red 10 simple and the yellow 21. Not only that, 2-day Stokes still to the downside, although weak to be fair. And we have 2-day RSI. Neutral, I would say neutral. I don't consider this neither. I consider this neither bullish nor bearish, just kind of neutral. Not really telling us too much. 3-day RSI is interesting to me, but that could greatly be undone. But let's get into the Stokes first. 3-day Stokes still the downside, not good. Balls in the bear's mouth, says King Lotto. Perhaps it could be, my friend. Perhaps it could be. 3-day 10 simple got the top of the rally pretty damn good, pretty damn well. And while we do not set this one in stone later tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern time in the next hour and 1 minute, we will set in stone on not tomorrow but the next day. So 2 days. So on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So we actually have a lot of way for this to go. But what I could say is, if this 3-day dildo does close above the prior high at 10,450, then we actually would have confirmed hidden bullish divergence on this on 3-day RSI, which would likely put us back up to the top side of this shorter term range at around 11,500, maybe even 12,000. Things get a little bit more out of hand. So there is still a few things in the bulls court, but that needs to happen first and foremost. And we'd have to wait until Wednesday, to even get clarity on that situation. By the same token, if we do take out the low of the prior 3-day dildo right here at 98.50. Oh man. At that point, your 50x benchmark moving average is going to become your obvious target. That's where it's 8,900, which going to be a major area of interest. That's also confluent with the weekly 21. And while I did kind of plot out the bearish, measure move to the downside, I'm actually not so I'm not so confident that it would get hit if we actually did even break this to the downside. I'm not so confident on that. What I'm more confident on saying is I would take it one step at a time. I'd first look at this area right here at about 8,900, 88 to 8,900 to see if we actually get a reversal there. I do think that we get a strong bounce, or at least a bounce there, likely a bounce, strong or not, maybe potential reversal. And if that one fails, and I go down to the next level right here, also confluent with the purple 200x benchmark average, right around the 0.5 Fibonacci retracement, also the 8,500ish level. So Gap boys get their vindication, get filled in their bung holes, and that would be right around about 83 to 8,500ish region. And if that bounce fails fails to be a reversal, then yes, then I'll start looking all the way down here, probably in a zone between that 72 to 7,500ish region right here, which I'll now put a blue box in, and let's see if that holds true. If we do break to the downside, it'll be fun to kind of come back to in the future. So yeah, like I said, a lot of people have been asking me what am I doing during these times. If I have to do anything, if we do play out downside, I will only do it with options. I'd rather just kind of sit back and watch the destruction from afar and kind of just plot the next move, because for me, all the fun was had on this move to the upside. The move to the downside, I don't feel all that confident trading spot against, because I still see the macro as generally bullish, and I don't want to trade against the macro, even though I think that this would be a phenomenally tradable move. And for those of you who want to be a little more cavalier, go for it, man. I'm just speaking from my own self, because I really made a point to talk to myself the other day, which sounds crazy. Maybe certainly is crazy a little bit. But my point is that I spoke with myself, and putting on the more risky trades for myself nowadays is just not it's not in my best interest, man. I'd rather just take the more easy, obvious trade. So if we do play out some downside here, I'd do it with options if I had to do it, and I probably wouldn't short spot. I'd probably just watch from afar. So yeah, anyways, let's let me get another sip of this water right here as I advertise my schizophrenic tendencies. Jesus Christ, man, just getting myself into a bigger hole in 1 second. Oh, by the way, I wanted to apologize for the video earlier. For whatever reason, OBS has been cutting off my videos at like the 2-hour mark when I'm live. It happened yesterday on Twitch too. OBS would just close down automatically. I don't know why that happened. And then it happened again today during the morning live stream. It wasn't because someone asked about the Krown or anything like that. No, it's quite literally just out of my control. OBS, for whatever reason, has been kind of glitchy to me recently. But that's okay, man. It does the job more or less most of the time. So yeah, if we do break to the downside, this is kind of the general trajectory that I'd be looking for. But again, most of the fun, or all of the fun's being had on the lower time frames right now. And do we look like we want to break down from here? Like at this moment, like this little tick? No, it's still most likely a crab market, and most likely a more sideways market, maybe for like the next week or two. As like I said, this formation becomes extremely likely to break in early to middle of September, which we actually hit September in less than 1 week from now. So somewhere right around here, which would be about middle of September, which actually does line up with some, with some events like I think that there's an FOMC meeting around that time, which interest rates do seem to drive Bitcoin price now. There does seem to be a correlation there. And then also we do have Daddy Backed coming into the market as well. And Daddy Backed, he is mad, man. He's got his belt and he's ready to fuck these cryptocurrency boys up. They've been naughty. They've been very naughty, not listening to Daddy Backed, and Daddy Backed likely going to, if I had to pester again, I'd say it's likely going to be a similar situation to the CME futures, because you get event psychology. I know a lot of people are going to push back on a statement like that saying, Krown, they hold physical Bitcoins. How could that be? It's like, no, that's not why CME's dumped. It's just an event, right? It's just an event. And psychologically speaking, you're going to have the big market movers buying up into an event like that because they know that those naughty little cryptocurrency boys think that this is going to actually change the world, when in fact it's just another venue to trade Bitcoin on, more or less. And it doesn't change the world. It's good overall. Longer term, it is good. Don't get me wrong. Longer term, it is good, setting in the infrastructure for the space. But does it change the world instantly? No, it doesn't do that. An instant change would be like if Trump came out and said, no longer are we using the US dollar. You got to use Bitcoin now. The dollar is a shitcoin, which maybe, he said some interesting things. He talks about nuking hurricanes. Maybe we could do, maybe we'll say something like that one day. That would be pretty awesome. Anyways, go check out our corollaries here, or sorry, not our corollaries yet. Let's go look at the crypto fear and nope, this is expected moves right here. Expected moves chart. This is a 4 hour. I don't want to look at a 4 hour. Let's go to a daily. Expected moves chart, getting the top side of the range actually perfectly, and you'll actually notice that we haven't even tested the bottom of the first standard deviation, even on the last drive to the downside. It's currently at about 10,100-ish region, but I would say that a breakage of that on a daily closing basis likely does offer up a change behavior. Remember that any sort of a move, especially any sort of a closure outside of this first standard deviation range, represented by these green, what do you want to call them? I guess the lines right here, rings. If you want to call them that, that's all good. Any sort of a move outside of those areas is actually less than a 32% chance of happening. To the downside, that would even be less than that. It'd be about half that, about 16%. So, remember your bell curves right there. It is a little bit less likely that we actually do that today, but you can see that this is going to take on a new meaning. If Bitcoin does end the day really anywhere below 10.3, it's just kind of looks nasty right there. But still, another a little bit less than an hour now, about 54 minutes to go. So I would say that it's still a little bit premature. We've all seen crazy moves happen in the span of 5 minutes, so why not give it 50 minutes? Anyways, going over and checking out the crypto fear and greed index. This thing did bottom out of its, of that all-time low extremely fast, right? We got all the way down to a 5, basically on the lows on price action right here when Bitcoin came down to 97.50, and that was, we were saying at that time it was likely going to bounce it up right enough over there, because what we've seen in the past is that anytime we get into this extremely fearful zone, like anywhere below, especially in the teens or lower than that, which we literally got to a 5, which was the lowest of all time, does correlate extremely well with putting in very, 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 very nice and tradable bounces. That one itself got about $1,000 from bottom to top thus far, already given back about 400 of those, right? But going back in the history of it, you can kind of just line them up. Anytime that we do get in this fearful zone, typically putting in bottoms like right here, 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 and a few more along the way, like right here and right here. But more importantly, just kind of talking off topic for a second, you'd expect intuitively that an indicator like this representing sentiments, right, during an overall upwards market, which we've been in for the last 7 months, we've been straight to the upside, going from almost 3,000 to 14,000, more than a 4x. An extremely fearful read would actually be interpreted as an overreaction to the market to the downside, which would be a more bullish indication. That's probably the most bullish thing that I could have found coming into last week. But as you do see, we've rallied out, or we haven't rallied out, but we've gotten out of this area extremely fast, right? Going from a 5 read all the way to a 41 read almost instantaneously. And so has that move already played out? Has it essentially allowed us to reset and allowed us to, carry out further downside? Perhaps yes. So I would say that, if you're looking for the easy trade, we kind of already had it in that region, and now is not really the time to be. Now is not really the time to be testing it once again. Anyways, we got now 52 minutes left to go. I just want to check out the lower time frames to see. I think Bitcoin actually is going to mount a rally attempt. Like I said, I do think that Bitcoin does test back up towards about 10.4 to 10.450ish region before anything else, but I don't have a strong opinion on if it actually breaks that to the upside. If it does break it to the upside though, hey, good man. I'm more happy to see Bitcoin be bullish here than not. Like I said, if Bitcoin breaks to the downside, it's going to be kind of boring for me because I don't really plan on trading it. So yeah. Anyways, let's go check out the other Bitcoin subsidiaries. Let's go check out CMEs for a second. Where's my CMEs? There you are, 10.335. And I believe you already saw the close on CMEs, and CMEs did close well below not all major moving averages, but we closed below the red 10 simple and the yellow 21. So I'd imagine that we probably see something similar on spot. I don't think that we're going to take out that 10.550ish level before end of day. I think it's actually quite unlikely from this region right now. Looking at CMEs as well, what our momentum oscillator is doing, we do see daily Stokes having a fake out. We had a fake cross the upside and snakes back to the down thus far. Daily RSI, you can look at this multiple ways, to be fair. You can look at this multiple ways. For the bulls, they're going to be looking at this as some sort of a falling pizza right here. It's not the best example, but something like this. Something like this right here. So if we could break back above the neutral zone, essentially right around the 52 mark, then yes, I'd be looking for another test back up to the bullish control zone. But this is not perfect in the way that you'd expect it to operate. So I would kind of step back from that. I would kind of step back from that assessment. More importantly, the weekly offers up a very easy way to be trading this as well. Remember, we put in a doji doodle last week, and we did the same thing on spot as well. But any sort of move back down below this range, and then yes, I'd be targeting a move towards the 21, which, by the way, the 21 is confluent with that 8,900 or sorry 9,000ish level. I think on CME it's 9,150. On spot it is about $9,050. And also you'll notice, funnily enough, remember that trend line, the Genesis trend line that I've been speaking about on Bitstamp. This trend line, this dotted trend line right here, which represents kind of the phase that we're in Bitcoin, which has been greatly misinterpreted by many people, which I maybe I can talk about that right now. We probably have enough time. But this trend line would be directly confluent with the yellow 21 exponential moving average. Now we can get wicks below. Wicks below this are okay. We just can't get any closures below it. Otherwise, likely big problems, and we probably enter into a new phase in the overall market, and that would be the time where I start to get a lot more interested in taking real shorts, So fair enough. But for right now, you can see that that's well and above, right around that 9,000ish level, confluent with the 21 on the weekly, which Bitcoin loves to play off the 21 on the weekly to begin with, on its kind of, if you want to call it a bullish dump, which is a little bit of a meme that I used to use during 2018, because people would always say, guys, this dump is bullish. We're going to be going up in no time. Whereas 2018 I was bearish as fuck, right? 2019 certainly more on the bullish side. But looking at this, we do see, historically speaking, on the general macro uptrends, Bitcoin likes to play off that yellow 21 exponential moving average all the way to the upside, and also sell off of it on its dumps, right, as well. And we have yet to test it on this whole round of the upside thus far, and we fully and formally lost the red 10 simple moving average for the first time since this run has started. So again, it is it's not fully in place just yet, but the cards are starting to stack really against the bulls right here. So I would be hesitant. Like I said though, until we actually fully and formally break those major areas that we spoke about earlier, I would not be looking to trade those. Things can look absolutely terrible, but you never know when Bitcoin does one of these massive girthy stop hunts and just gets everyone out of their positions. Sometimes they even get some continuation on top of them as well. But the fact is that thus far, this one's going to be closing below both the 21 and the 10 simple. I do interpret this as weakness. Not only that, but let's do the simple moving averages. So the simple moving averages are a lot better for trending movements. So typically I don't really pay too much attention to them in comparison to the exponentials, because they're just better for my trading style. But let's go see where they're at right now. We see a negative slope on the green 50, on the yellow 21, and the red 10 is essentially flat. Now the most important slope is actually the 30 simple moving average, which actually does have a positive slope right now. So this is really throwing me for a loop. We're below all these major moving averages, bad, but we don't see what we'd expect to see. So it is still a little bit left of center. I can't stress this enough. Until Bitcoin actually breaks this level, you should, or at least I would view this as a trappy trap area until we can actually do that. At that point, then fuck yeah, pile it up, all good, no problem. But for right now, it does kind of throw me off that the 30-something moving average, which is the most important for slope analysis, is actually at a slightly positive slope right now, which is you would not expect. You would not expect at all. Anyways, put back on the exponentials, as that was more or less, the greater picture is still just one major consolidation. So let's go check out the other two top shitcoins, let's go check out GBTC. I did not check out him yet today, and let's see. Close the day down about $0.50. Did lose the red 10 simple and the yellow 21. Looks like a rejection off the yellow 21. Yes, we are resting on the green 50, but I don't like the way that looks. We do see daily Stokes looking like, hey, come on, show them to me. Looking like they want to cross to the downside. In fact, they will, as if tomorrow opens lower, we certainly will. Daily RSI is bearish. We got rejection from the exponential. Look like we want to head into the bearish control zone. I don't like that. Is not a good signal right there. And historical volatility percentile is similar to what we see on spot. In fact, let's just go to spot for this one, and we can look at historical volatility percentile, which continues to trend lower. Right, we're well below the moving average on this, and in the more time that we spend going lower and lower and lower on this, the more and more that Bitcoin kind of winds up and gets ready for the massive spring. So whichever way that we actually see this formation break, we're going to see this follow through most likely, which is going to give us a similar reaction to what we've seen in the past. To give you an example, the last times that we saw historical volatility percentiles get extremely low were basically right on over here in March of 2019, before basically this breakout from 4,000 to 14,000 months later, and then the time before that was in this area right here in November, at about 6,400, before breaking down to 3,100, not soon after. So again, these things do hold a lot of weight, but it also would suggest that we probably do spend some more time downtrending this right now. So I'd say that is likely going to take its time as I reach for my there we go. Hungry, man, fucking hungry. Anyways, I found some ground beef on my audio interface. There we go. Anyways, let's see, we've already been recording for 52 minutes. Holy shit, Jesus Christ. Anyways, couldn't help myself, man. Couldn't help myself. Okay, cool. So we spoke about all of that. What else? I guess it's time to go over the top two shitcoins, and then we can look at traditional markets and gold. Actually, let's look at gold first. Here's how gold ended the day. Whoa. Gold in trouble, man. I really don't like this close for gold. Did we close below my level? No, we did not close below my level. It's still, I wouldn't necessarily call it a failure just yet, but keep in mind that we are damn close to that next target. This next target, the lower end of the range was about 1575, right? 1575, and we got up all the way to 1555. So is this a little bit of a front run, and we're actually going to see this top out here and start to consolidate downwards, probably down towards like 1470? Maybe. In fact, if we even just come down below and close tomorrow's daily dodo anywhere below 1520, I'd say that's actually quite likely. This run has been pretty damn good. I do think that longer term, this run has more to go, but as of right now, no. I would say that this run looks kind of toppy here, both daily and weekly. Looking like kind of like they got front ran from this blue box territory, and we're gonna go test some. We're gonna go consolidate sideways in a downwards fashion for a second. Downwards in a sideways fashion. Understand what I mean by that? I'm not necessarily looking for like a full on downturn to happen where like we come all the way back down here. That would be too nasty. But I do think that we could probably come back down to like 1500, and then probably even like 1475 region somewhere here. Over the next few weeks. But I need to see tomorrow's close first. But I'd say that this would be a good start into not being as excited about this, as I think a lot of people are. Then again, looking at volume signature right here, very low volume on that sell. So I would say that it is not a picture perfect topping dildo right there. Certainly not a picture perfect shooting star or reversal dildo just yet. Need to see follow through from it, preferably on heavier volume. Something indicative of like real distribution, which I'm not necessarily convinced that we have, because the higher time frames that we go to, it still looks fine. Like the monthly is completely fine. There's nothing really wrong with the monthly right here. I think that the monthly could easily go sideways for another couple months and then give another try higher, as monthly oscillator is still very much bullish. Monthly Stokes breaking the trend line right here and up. Monthly RSI working its way out of into the critical zone, which to me is actually a sign of strength. It's not like it's overbought, bro. Hey bro, you see that RSI? That RSI is overbought. We gotta go down. You better sell right now. Bro. You're going to be riding this bitch down to all-time lows. You know what I'm talking about? Bro, do you know? Ride those alts down to all-time lows. Speaking of alts, let's go check out the Bitcoin dominance chart for a second. Let's see. Bitcoin dominance here. Higher time frames, still bullish on them. Did hit the 50 on the monthly, so we probably do pull back off this region. Oh, there's no sound on that. My bad. Oh, there. Oh, it's very, very low sound. You want another one? Riding some alts down to all-time lows. There you go. I do still look at this as bullish, even on the daily right here. I kind of like this. Looks like it's got reaccumulated along the yellow 21 exponential moving average. So I suppose this would suggest that even if Bitcoin does drop off to the downside from here, alts are just going to get wrecked. Once again, I don't like I like the way that this looks, but not for alts. I'd still be mostly bearish on alts, man. The weekly closed above the 200 simple. We closed above the 200 simple on the dominance chart. I mean, do I pay too much attention to levels on dominance chart as I would on regular spot charts? No, of course not. But interesting nonetheless. And the next major area of resistance that we really have is here at about 77 to 78 region. So 77 to 78% would be fucking massive. Not only that, but usually when you kind of grind out a major moving average like this, it actually does break in the trend direction, right? We saw the same thing with Bitcoin on the 50 simple moving average, which reminds me I need to talk about something else. Earlier this year when it was breaking 55.50. Which I was massively bullish on, whereas most people were looking at that as kind of send us back down to the 4,000 or 3,000 level. No, that's actually a really, really bullish thing. Anyways, that reminds me I wanted to talk about something else on Bitcoin. So let's go over here to the 2-day. I'll make this one fast. Let's put back on our simple moving averages, which I'm going to take all these guys off. There we go. And we actually don't even need too many of these. We can just really just look at these few. So this is a 2-day chart, and all that you need to know is that this green is the 50 simple moving average, and we're pretty much getting held up by it right now, right? Well, if we scroll on back and look at the past history of Bitcoin on its general upturn, on its general uptrends, we do see that Bitcoin likes to dump down to that 50 simple moving average. Now, yes, sometimes it actually does even lose it for a second, but usually doesn't lose it by too much is kind of my point. And we don't, we do have a few opens and closes below in this region right here, but as you can see, still more or less forms a range as the 50 crosses the 21. In fact, do we have something similar going on in the current times of Bitcoin? Well, we could very easily see something like that actually, but it's not in there just yet. You can see that the 50, if we were to drop up from here, we will see the 21 cross the 50 to the downside, and that likely does give us a similar signature to what we saw right here. Likely opens up the direction towards, at the very least 88 to 9,000-ish region, and then we'll kind of reassess from there. Like I said, if Bitcoin does break to the downside, I would not necessarily call the 7,300 target. We'll call it like a peer destination. I'd say take it one step at a time. I'd treat each and every bounce as a potential reversal zone for Bitcoin. As I reach for my water one more time, I'm almost out of it, so I won't have to do this again. There we go. Alrighty. Okay, very cool. So yeah, keep your eyes on that, as it does seem to be kind of a magnet for those lows during those bullish dumps, baby. But you know what I mean. Anyways, let's go check out Mr. Buterol and Mrs. Litecoin. How they doing? How's the folks doing right now? Mr. Buterol, sick as fuck. Sick as fuck. Once again, if I was just looking at altcoins, I'd be bearish as fuck, man. I would be bearish as fuck. We are creating a descending triangle in this region right here. Now, technically, if you are bullish, you're going to be looking at this as a falling pizza, which typically do break out to the upside, and it would imply a target actually, I believe, all the way at like 280 right here. But I need to see a daily total close back above about 203 for that to be more on the top of my priorities. For right now, it's still under pressure. In fact, we just rejected from this trend line yesterday, so not looking so hot right now. Let me actually put back on all these major moving averages so that we can get all these babies back on there. There we go. Feel like I'm fine, naked and blind. There we go. Okay, good. Anyways, death cross has officially happened. We are below all major moving averages right now. Technically speaking, this is not the time for me to be bullish, but the thing is that when you get a death cross like this far away from price action, those are actually typically the ones that fail to play out, to be fair. I would only look at this death cross likely to play out if Bitcoin breaks on not Bitcoin, but Ethereum breaks this 185 support on a daily closing base. If we do that, then yes, next targeted move I'd be looking at is down here at about 169, great number, and lower than that, probably at 150. And if things get really bad, I'd be looking all the way down at about 130-ish region. Realistically, on the higher time frames, that's going to start to look extremely nasty. The weekly here is atrocious. It's just sick as fuck. stock, and going on to the monthly is just as bad. I mean, it's caught wind of the red 10 simple, but that doesn't mean too much. We did lose the yellow 21 along the way, which I really don't like. We actually even pushed off it on that last sell-off from this month of August. So that is not the most confidence-inducing right here. Anyways, it does go without saying, though, that I'm more intent to watch Bitcoin than I am to watch Mr. Buterin. If Bitcoin breaks to the upside, if Bitcoin regains 10,550, I'd likely look for Mr. Buterin to salvage himself and just work his way back up on to 220-ish region and beyond. Maybe even resolve the full unmeasured move off that falling pizza to about 280. A little bit more longer term. But Bitcoin likely sets the tone. If Bitcoin breaks to the downside, you will likely see Mr. Buterin fall all the way down to the very least 150 and probably even 140 or 130. Mrs. Litecoin, same sort of thing. A little bit less nasty just because Mrs. Litecoin does not have the death cross officially just yet. And I believe she does have some bullish divergence right here and actually regain the exponential along the way as well. So yes, bullish divergence is confirmed and the R side is okay. Historical volatility percentile, just like Mr. Buterin, is extremely low right here as well. So an explosive move is coming. This is set to expand. The last time that we were this low was in this region right here in March before this massive breakout from about $60 all the way to $140, $150. Time before that was before this breakdown right here. So it's direction neutral, but it does tell you that a big move is incoming, and both those pretty fucking massive. So I'd say on this one, as we're below all major moving averages, hard to really love it. It doesn't look as bad as Mr. Buterin, but same thing as Mr. Buterin, as Mrs. Litecoin. If you see Bitcoin break down, Mrs. Litecoin probably comes all the way down, all the way at the very least towards $63, and then probably further over time, maybe towards $53 to $49, somewhere in this region. We are technically operating in a descending triangle right now, which would have a measure move. I would imagine if I just had to eyeball it, it'd probably be somewhere down here. Yeah, look at that. It matches up with the $63 region right here. But again, if Bitcoin breaks up to the upside, I'd be looking for Mrs. Litecoin to just kind of like bottom her way out of here and work her way back up to like 85, maybe even $90. Again, Bitcoin sets the tone, and then these guys get to follow, or gals, or gender neutral pronouns, whatever the fuck it could be, a flying unicorn spaghetti monster. Going over here to traditional markets, let's close out the talk with this. Traditional markets rallying off of the 200x benchmark moving average, as we spoke about coming in this week, likely to happen. I said that I was looking for a move back up to about 287.5. We got up to about 288, so a little bit overshot there. Could we extend this a little bit more coming into tomorrow? Maybe, but ultimately I do look for this to come down further, ultimately speaking. If we do have a little bit of an up move tomorrow, I'd maybe be looking towards about 289, but anything above there I think becomes a little bit more dangerous. I don't think that we get continuation of the upside above there. I do think that over the next few weeks we probably come down and test the 89, somewhere around 275. Also our June lows and our June and March lows, which at that point I actually think that things reverse and we put in a massive bear trap right there and then reverse back up to the upside. Everyone is fucking bearish on traditional market right now. The popular thing to say in general public lexicon is, you know what? Do you know what? The market is overdue for a recession. It's going down. It's like, okay. Yeah, you and everyone else thinks that. So, wonder what's going to happen there. Usually it happens when you least expect it. What I think is that people fail to realize that the Fed still has a few more bullets in their chamber for basically keeping this puppy afloat. And believe me, with Trump in power right now, that's his calling card. So you can imagine that he's going to do everything in his power. Again, this is not a political statement. This is quite literally just a personal statement. He wants to get reelected. His calling card is a stock market. He's going to put pressure on the Fed to make sure that this stays up as much as he can. Is kind of the implications that I would have, or the bias that I'd have. And so I wouldn't be surprised, if we did come down here, get everyone extremely bearish, and then just run everyone up to the upside. Remember though, on a monthly schedule, we are still above all major moving averages here. This isn't, it doesn't look great. Don't get me wrong, it doesn't look great, but it's hard to be bearish when you're above all major moving averages on a higher time frame like this. So, it's one of those things. So I'm not necessarily convinced that the overall party's just done just yet, but I would say that I do think that we have lower here to go. But I think that ends up being a bear trap, and then we'll go on higher. Like once Peter Schiff and all the fucking doom and gloomers are telling you about how the world market's going to collapse, we're going to a recession, everyone's going to be fucked, everyone's going to lose their jobs, the world market is done for. It's a new paradigm. It's like the same thing when Bitcoin was $20,000 and people were like, we're no longer doing retracements in this new paradigm. It's like, no, probably not. It's time, that's at the point where we probably do pop back up, and then longer term, I do think that the markets play out a recession, but I think that it's just as feasible to think that this could take another 2 to 3 years, maybe even 4 to 5 years before the house actually does come down a little bit. So I'd kind of incorporate a more long-term view. Anyways, I guess I answered just one question right here before I wrap it up. Krown, look at historical volatility 4 hour, please, on Bitcoin. Sure. 4 hour historical volatility is extremely low. We probably do see a move based upon this relatively soon. In fact, the 4 hour is going to be closing pretty damn strong, man. Bitcoin's going to make a run here. It looks like I said, I do think that Bitcoin tests what like the 10,450-ish region first before anything else, and then we'll kind of reassess after that. But for right now, okay. But again, the daily closing below the 21, it's not a death sentence in and of itself. I just wish we could have seen it close above. That would have been a lot more clarity on the situation and would have opened up a trade towards the lower 11,000s most likely. Looks like we're not going to get that today. But hey, another 31 minutes left to go on this bitch. So I'm going to actually start to wrap this bitch up right now, send it out, and then hopefully this gets out right before the daily will close, and you can judge for yourself. Anyways, lower time frames, really where all the action is going on right now. Blue box territory to the upside is 10,450 to 10,550. If bulls can regain this area, especially at the very least on a 4 hour total closing, but really, I really want to see like a 12 hour or a daily for a little bit more weight on it, then yes, I would be looking at the very least for another retest back up towards this 10.8 region, but likely Bitcoin would work its way, more medium term over the next like week or two into the lower 11,000s once again, 11.3, maybe even 11.5 up to this resistance right here. By the same token, Bitcoin playing off this more preliminary resistance that we spoke about in the morning's video. So the target was hit to the downside. We bounced off it. So typically after you go test your supports, then you're going to go test your resistances. Thus far, we've only set in lower highs along this structure thus far. So again, getting back above this blue box territory right here would actually take out these highs and start to change around the lower time frames a little bit. By the same token, if we do break this guy to the downside, 10,150-ish region, then I would be looking for another move down into this blue box territory right here, the danger zone, we'll call it, between 97.50 and 98.50. If we close below there on a daily dildo closing basis, even on a 12-hour closing basis, it's I'd probably be leaning towards the party being directed towards the downside. All those downside targets start to have a lot more validity to them. But for right now, Bitcoin having a pretty damn good reaction off this region. I'm going to start to upload this video, so we'll see where the daily doodle ends closing. I'd imagine we probably don't regain the 21 by end of day. So this one's going to have to come into tomorrow and reassess. The lower time frames once again are actually going to be governing the direction. So very, very rarely do you see this. Only at the very ends of very long and drawn out consolidations, of which this is certainly one. And with that said, I think I'll cut it off there. I want to wish you well. Take care and see you soon.